Now, I'm going to sing a song about someone who lives in the forest all the time and loves it the way we do. And now for my song. It's called Smokey the Bear. With the ranger's hat and shovel and a pair of dungarees, you will find him in the forest always sniffing at the breeze. People stop and pay attention when he tells them to beware, 'cause everybody knows that he's the fire-preventing bear. Smokey the Bear, Smokey the Bear, prowling and a-growling and a-sniffing the air. He can find a fire before it starts to flame. That's why they call him Smokey. That was how he got his name.
There is truth in advertising, yes I swear. Got new Nikes on my feet and Vidal Sassoon in my hair. I can sure use a Budweiser Fruit of the Loom underwear. There is truth in advertising, I swear. Why would they lie to me when they love what they sell? Plus we all know that the liars have a special fire in hell. On the television, radio, and in the magazines, the advertising gods perpetuate the American dream. Advertising, let it be, let it be. Now I know that I don't need to buy everything they try to sell me, but so easily divided is a fool and his money. There is truth in advertising, let it be. Why would they lie to me when they love what they sell? Plus we all know that the liars got a special fire in hell. On the television, radio, and in the magazines, the advertising gods perpetuate the American dream.
World War II brought many hardships. Among them was the U.S. Forest Service fighting wildfires, and the war brought a new importance and urgency to this. Despite the Forest Service using colorful posters to educate Americans about the dangers of forest fires in the hopes that local communities could prevent them from starting, it turns out careless citizens weren't the only real threat, as the Empire of Japan considered wildfires a possible weapon to be used. During the spring of 1942, Japanese submarines surfaced near the coast of Santa Barbara, California, and fired shells that exploded on an oil field very close to Los Padres National Forest. The Japanese military, emboldened by this success, renewed their wildfire strategy later in the war, launching some 9,000 fire balloons into the jet stream, with an estimated 11% reaching the U.S. between November 1942 and April 1945. In the end, these balloons caused a total of 6 fatalities, killing 5 children and a woman. In 1942, the U.S. Forest Service established the Cooperative Forest Fire Prevention Program, also known as the CFFP, because we do love our acronyms. That very same year, on August 13th, Disney's Bambi premiered in New York City. And soon after, Walt Disney allowed the characters to appear in fire prevention public service campaigns. This is likely because of the forest fire at the film's climax. However, Bambi was only loaned to the government for a year, so a new symbol was needed, and after much discussion, a bear was chosen. It only made sense, as bears are the animal most likely to be thought of when thinking of forests. His name was inspired by Smokey Joe Martin, a New York City Fire Department hero who suffered burns and blindness during a bold 1922 rescue. So, on August 9, 1944, the creation of Smokey Bear was authorized by the Forest Service. In the first poster, he was depicted wearing jeans and a campaign hat, pouring a bucket of water on a campfire, and the message underneath stated simply, "Smokey says care will prevent 9 out of 10 woods fires." In 1947, the Wartime Advertising Council, later renamed the Ad Council, coined the slogan now associated with Smokey Bear for more than 5 decades. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires. But you guys, Smokey being associated with World War II is only part of the story. There's so much more. Smokey Bear, which is his actual name despite it being appropriated by pop culture as Smokey the Bear, was created in Capitan, New Mexico. His name was actually even intentionally spelled differently from the adjective Smokey, and his name and image are protected by the Smokey Bear Act of 1952. This is wildly amusing to me, as we cannot help millions of suffering citizens in our own country and let countless children and homeless die every day, yet thank God we protected a fucking animated bear. It's all about priorities, right? Soon we'll be giving the Charmin bears diplomatic immunity. It's a slippery slope, folks. Even more amusing is it winds up there's even a real-life counterpart to Smokey. A 3-month-old American black bear cub found in the spring of 1950 after the Capitan Gap fire became the living embodiment of the character. At first named Hotfoot Teddy, a kind of sick name considering he'd climbed a tree to escape the blaze and his paws and hind legs had been burned, New Mexico Department of Fish and Game Ranger Ray Bell heard about the situation and took him to Santa Fe. Honestly, Hotfoot Teddy is a pretty cool name if you're a jazz musician, maybe, but not in this case. And so the name was changed to match the character. Eventually, people caught on and Smokey became a celebrity. Smokey lived in the National Zoo for 26 years, during which time he received millions of visitors and so many letters addressed to him. More than 13,000 a week, actually. In 1964, the United States Postal Service even gave him his own zip code, which is still in use to this day. In 1962, he was paired with a female bear, Goldie, with the hopes that they would sire a cub, but it never came to be. Instead, the zoo in 1971 simply added Little Smokey, another orphaned cub from the Lincoln Forest, to the cage and announced that they had adopted him. Smokey Bear died on November 9, 1976, and his remains were returned by the government to Capitan, New Mexico, buried at, yes, this is real, Smokey Bear Historical Park, which is operated by the New Mexico State Forestry Division. The facility is now a wildfire and Smokey interpretive center, and the bear is interred in the adjacent garden for eternity with a plaque that simply reads, "This is the resting place of the first living Smokey Bear, the living symbol of wildfire prevention and wildlife conservation."
You have so many reasons to protect your forests. Remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
The real-life Smokey died on November 9th, 1976. But the character has lived on, continuing to carry the message attached to his name so many years ago.
In later years, the Ad Council expanded Smokey's digital presence, including a website and social media accounts. His presence in pop culture is nearly unparalleled, if only because he is one of the few mascots not promoting a product, but instead a way of thinking. In 1944, Knickerbocker Bears acquired the license to produce dolls, and in 1949, Forest Service worker Rudy Wendelin became the character's manager until he retired in 1973. This bear has a government act protecting it, a national park named after it, and a fucking manager. This bear is bigger than most real-life celebrities. By 1952, he had attracted such considerable commercial interest that the United States Congress passed the act to remove the character from the public domain and place him under the control of the Secretary of Agriculture. This provided for the use of his royalties for continued education on the subject of forest wildfire prevention. Throughout the years, more dolls, a series of little golden books, and even songs were created for the character of Smokey Bear. Before we could blink, the market had become inundated by thousands of collectibles of the character.
Brothers and sisters, this is again, he testifying for Smokey the Bear. You can take a tip from Smokey, that there's nothing like a tree, 'cause the good kids climbing and the beautiful to see. You just have to look around, you find it's not a joke. You see what you'd be missing if they all went up in smoke. Smokey the Bear, Smokey the Bear, a prowling and a growling and a sniffing in the hair. He can find a fire lord before it starts to flame. That's why we call him Smokey, that's how we got his name. Oh, come on now, beat it out, Peter. Be cool, people. Hold
During the 50s and 60s, the Ad Council sponsored radio advertisements featuring Smokey in conversation with prominent American celebrities such as Bing Crosby, Art Linkletter, Dinah Shore, and even Roy Rogers. His name and image are used for the Smokey Bear Awards, which are awarded by the U.S. Forest Service, the National Association of State Foresters, to recognize outstanding service in the prevention of human-caused wildfires and increase public recognition and awareness of the need for continuing fire prevention efforts. And though he was originally drawn wearing the campaign hat of the U.S. Forest Service, the hat itself even became famous by association with the character and is sometimes called the Smokey Bear hat, still being used to this day by the Forest Service, some branches of the military, and even state police. Smokey celebrated his 40th anniversary to himself, I suppose, in 1984, and was honored with a U.S. postage stamp which pictured a cub hanging onto a burned tree, which I feel is in somewhat poor taste considering what happened to the living symbol. This isn't to say that Smokey hasn't had missteps, as one ad in the 90s tried to make him rap about forest fire prevention, though thankfully Smokey himself realizes partway through the ad that this concept is fucking stupid and decides to do something different.
My friends, depend on me, Smokey B, to voice a plea. Respect the forest, protect our trees. Oh, what am I doing?
Smoke, baby, what's the trouble?
Around, this isn't me.
Smoke, you're 50. We agreed you'd talk to kids in their language.
I know, but I'll just give it to them straight. Kids, only you can prevent forest fires.
Smokey, look, Smoke!
I gotta get back to the forest.
I think one of the reasons Smokey has outlasted so many other mascots, aside from not being associated with a brand, is simply the stoicism in his character. He has not changed one iota. His message has not changed one iota, and that's comforting. In 2004, his 60th anniversary was celebrated by a Senate resolution designating August 9th, 2004 as Smokey Bear's 60th anniversary, requesting that even the president issue a proclamation. Once again, I'm so proud of our government for putting their priorities in order and making sure Smokey Bear is head and shoulders above everyone else who's, real and actually in need. Hell, in his hometown of Capitan, the first weekend in May every year is called the Smokey Bear Days, an event celebrating fire prevention messages and wilderness conservation, with music concerts, chainsaw carving contests, and even a parade. Then, in 2012, for his 68th birthday, NASA and the Texas Forest Service teamed Smokey up to celebrate at NASA's Johnson Space Center in Houston, where they chose a plush Smokey doll to be the Expedition 31 team's launch mascot, celebrating their trip to the International Space Station. Smokey celebrated his 68th birthday 250 miles above Earth. That's right, folks, we shot a fucking plush bear into space to celebrate his birthday. I cannot make this shit up. Smokey Bear's success is unprecedented, and rightfully so. Of all the mascots we've covered, Smokey is the only one who's not trying to sell you on anything other than a humanitarian concept. One which, frankly, given the state of the environment nowadays, we should have taken to heart long ago. That's why, despite the few jokes we made, we tried not to bash Smokey too much, because the cause is genuine and important. Smokey Mania may no longer be at an all-time high, but in the end, the message is more important than ever. Considering a good majority of Australia was on fire mere months ago, and California was on fire majorly in the last few years, and considering the fact that plenty of people don't even consider climate change something to worry about, I think that now more than ever is a good time to take someone like Smokey to heart. Remember, only you can prevent mascot deaths.